You're in the back room with Becky after dark, and it is hump day. Now, you know I used to do my Thickalicious Thursday night readings, and we're gonna do something with the light. I know that bothers you all. You can't see me. Is this better? Okay. Mommy's in her jammies now. I'm gonna do a nighttime story tonight. You're in the back room with Becky. It's hump day, and it's after dark. Now, I do want to let you know that the subject matter is not for the little kiddies. Tony, Kimon, all the rest of y'all on my face, my love. This one is not for you, okay? When you see after dark, respect Auntie's privacy and don't do that. Because if you know something you should know, I'll have to kill you. No, really. Um, this piece that I did over on Black Planet. We're coming along real well. We have new dancers for the Big Goody Good Big Goody Girls Burlesque Review coming straight to you from Kansas City, Missouri. The sexiest BBWs of Kansas City at Thickalicious Thursday wants you to see how we twerking in the Midwest. Now, I know they got the bankhead bounce, and I know that y'all already heard about Nelly and the Air Force One, and I know you know about Tech Nine. But now we're going to put ourselves on the map with the Big Goody Girls Burlesque Review, and it is what it is. Now, for our little nighttime story, children, I hope you will be snuggled in. Lean in real good. Get you a sip of tea or something. Tonight's story, Confessions of a BBW, Summer Heat. Y'all know what I gotta do, so don't even trip. They had been going strong for a year now, and Bijou couldn't hardly believe herself. She ran her fingernail across his hair-lined stomach and watched as his shorts grew. He told her that he loved to awaken to someone warm and soft that he could fall into or inside. Bijou laughed, thinking about how it was last summer, the love making at the rest stops and rolling BJs were an insane thing to do at best, but it had all been worth it. They enjoyed themselves far too much to deny. This was a little more than she expected. As if on cue, her lover stirred and stretched and pulled her into him, spooning her nearly naked butt. She pretended to resist for a little while and then nestled in. He was always groggy for the first few minutes, and Bijou liked to make him talk because it made her laugh. But today, he was alert. Remember, baby, when we made love in that restroom? Bijou had to chuckle. As well she knew. She pushed the envelope that day. But her growing exhibitionism seemed to not hurt the relationship. Something about people catching you in that intimate act. As twisted as it seemed, it didn't disturb Bijou. Quite the opposite stimulated her. She had grown up in the performing arts and was the baby girl of the family. Yep, attention seeker. Most people didn't mind. She was as irreverent as her nickname, KC Booty. Shayton chuckled and rubbed his now erect penis against Bijou's round, juicy backside. It was warm underneath those covers, and they wrestled in a love lock for quite some time before slumping exhausted, laying cattywampus across the bed as they had been playing naked twister. Ooh, Bijou moaned. She could go again, but knew they had some more packing to do. This year they had added the Midwestern speaking tour, and she was going to do it in 2 weeks, what would take 3 weeks to do. They had leased a plane for her and her sister, a little tag along she hadn't counted on. Her mind wandered back and forth between work and this handsome, sexy man laying next to her. His breath was coming quickly as he reclined, with his legs wrapped around her waist. They touched that way. Some part of them was always touching. It was second nature. He had been allowed to meet the family, and everyone was holding their breath. He was so damn near perfect that everybody loved him. There had to be something wrong with him, she thought. He could have any woman out there, and he wanted her. Smile played on her lips, and she bumped her pelvis against his thigh. He knew what that meant and began rotating her body into the position he wanted it to be in. Bijou was blissful. She could think of no other word for it. He was tender and hard at the same time, and he knew how to hold his own against her matriarchal family. That was always a turn on. They both hated getting out of bed. They had made love 3 times before pushing and shoving like kids. Someone ended up on the floor, and as a rule, that meant you had to start the shower, and the other one would start the coffee. Her mother and sister didn't know they were living together. They would have died. She remembered standing in the divorce court swearing that she would never be tied down again. She would live with a man. By the time she had dragged herself back out of depression to join the human race, her tune had changed. She didn't want the little single life so much anymore, and longed for the days like this that she could feel reasonably safe and secure in. Bijou's traumatic experience as a young woman and a little girl made her a control freak. The worst thing a survivor of sexual abuse could do was to give up control. No, you had to finesse them, or they would just retreat or rebel. He was snapping his fingers to her as they entered the double wide shower where they could take turns bathing each other, and it would either end up as a hard fall or they would just be more relaxed and start their day. He was saying something that sounded like a dig, and she politely dropped the soap on the shower floor as he reached for it. They both knew the game. She was only going to goose him and run out the shower before the water fight began. She was happy, and everyone could see it. It showed in her work, the way she bounced, took walks, and smiled for no apparent reason. Here she was, right where she thought she wanted to be. The phone was ringing now. It would be Shalisa telling them how much time they had to get downstairs. They had moved into a larger condo and were thinking about buying it. Things were getting that serious. Bijou could not share with her sister. She could hear it now. How much money does he have? Is he going to contribute? Well, the worst that could happen had already happened. Making those kind of decisions in the past with the wrong man had made her wiser. Bijou felt as if she knew him well enough to entrust him with her very life. Hell, they slept together every night. If he was going to hurt her, she would rather face it head on. He glanced at his lady love across the table now and watched her do her strange contortions to loosen her arthritic joints, her souvenirs from a bad wreck when she was a teenager. You would never know. She moved like a woman half her age. He reached out and held her and looked her in the eyes and said, "Ride or die, shorty. What's it gonna be?" Shannon looked dead serious. Confused, Bijou sat straight up and leaned in and said simply, "Clarity, please. What are you talking about now?" Shayna was getting up from his chair and approaching Bijou and pulling her up from the chair. He hugged her, then held her at arm's distance. He looked at her, her breath caught in her chest for just a minute. "We gonna do this right, or we not gonna do this at all?" Bijou, it's time you made up your mind. So again, are you going to ride with me, die with me? Bijou laughed nervously and tossed her braids, not yet groomed for the day. "Man, if that is your idea of a proposal, you are not ready to marry me," Bijou quipped, hoping that her light-hearted response would divert this line of conversation. "Baby, I love you, and you know I do. I just think we need some more time together. We only been living together for 6 months." Bijou was trying to buy time while the thoughts and memories swelled in her head like a tsunami. She thought she was going to hyperventilate. Surely she was not that phobic of this kind of commitment. Isn't that what every girl wanted at the end of the day? Huh? But Bijou wasn't like other girls. She had secrets and things to regret and battle scars that any day could come back to knock the wind out of her like a gut punch. He was just pussyfoot, she thought to herself. It's that afterglow shit where you say some stuff you shouldn't say. The sex was just that good. Nope, she knew she wouldn't be able to put him off for long. She had met her match in so many ways. Bijou sucked air loudly, which meant she was annoyed or disturbed. Shayla backed up and threw his hands in the air. Girl, I'm just trying to make a decent and respectable woman out of you. You know? He always cracked jokes to deflect any disappointment. She could not and would not leave him hanging. She just couldn't think about that right now. Wow, you really know how to start a trip off with no tension. The sarcasm wasn't lost on him, and he got his paper and his suit coat and told her he was going to take the bags out to the driver. Bijou hadn't even noticed the doorbell ringing. Now what? Oh, hell. It was the new assistant with her tight clothes wearing self. Bijou made a mental note that a makeover was forthcoming. That look would never do once the tour went full stream and they were back in the Bible Belt by the end of the tour. To be continued. I hope you enjoyed In the Back Room with Becky After Dark and Confessions of a BBW. Will be a staple. We'll start doing it on Wednesday nights. In the meanwhile, love somebody.